Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. So you guys, I love your offensive identity that you have and the way that you shoot the ball and the emphasis that you have on that. What are some ways that you help your players or teach your players shooting confidence?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do, one of my biggest deals is identifying for the kids what's a good shot. You know, I think we let kids get away with murder in this day and age. There doesn't seem to be any such thing as a bad shot anymore. Now, I don't know about your group, but we don't all shoot this ball the same, and I think the main thing that we really try to stress is if you're going to take a shot, I want you to have vision, meaning a clear-cut look at the rim.
Yeah.
And there's got to be balance. In the day of TNT and NBA basketball and all this 1 foot stuff, guys fading away and jumping up here and coming down 5 feet over there. At my level, I don't think we're good at stuff like that. I don't think we get guys that can, glide through the air with the greatest of ease and knock down shots. So we're constantly talking about what a good shot is. It's got to have vision. That means somebody's not just skying up over you and really taking away your vision and having balance where we can go up and reasonably come down in the same place.
Yep.
Because I think when you slide and you move horizontally, it changes your ability to see the rim. It changes the shot.
Your balance for sure.
All the time.
Yeah.
Now, every once in a while, I think you run into a kid that can do that, and I don't try to take that away. But the first thing is we're going to identify what a good shot is. And then we're going to talk about that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, freshmen have a way different idea than I do about what a good shot is. And I think there's a downside to that. I think that sometimes, if you get too restrictive of them, they can look over their shoulder a little bit.
Right. Start playing tight. Yep.
Yeah. And what's he going to say about this one? What's he going to say about that one? So I think there's a real balance there. And I think you got to feel every kid out, but living with bad shots has never been something I've done well. Now, by the same token, I think when a guy's had a little bit of a history of taking bad shots, when he takes a good shot, I really try to praise that guy.
Yeah, celebrate the good.
Hey, that's the shot.
Yeah.
See, right there. And hey, I don't care if you missed it. You go back and next 10 shots you get like that, you shoot it. And if you don't shoot it, I'm coming over and tackle you right in the middle of practice. Okay. I want him to know I want him to shoot a good shot because he is a good shooter. So, that way, and particularly with young kids, when a young kid misses a shot, for me, and I see he starts shaking his head and he gets wrinkles on his forehead and all that stuff, and he's mumbling to himself. I stop that right away, and I'll say, "Hey, are you a good shooter?" Okay, I'm a good shooter. Well, then, good shooters don't worry about what just happened. They don't worry about missing a shot or 5 shots or 10 shots because they're going to make the next 10. And if I see you pass on that shot, then I'm going to come over because to me that's selfish because that's a great shot.
Yeah.
And your teammates and I believe in you shooting the ball like that. I think videotape's a big deal on that too. Brink, as they say, Matt, the tape don't lie, right? And when you can show a kid, this is a tough shot. This is not a high percentage shot. We're not worried about the volume of shots. We're looking for the quality of the shot. And when we take high quality shots and shoot a certain percentage, we've got a better chance to be successful. I want you to take a good shot, and I'm going to help you identify what a good shot is. And if you and I can't get together on that, that's going to make it tough on both of us, because I'm not a guy over my career that's been able to sit there and twiddle my thumbs when a guy throws up bad shot after bad shot. Look, we know that kids in our game, there's an ego factor involved. Every kid thinks, he's bound for the NBA, even at my level. And hey, I make this and pick up all the time, coach, but when the lights are on, you really don't.
Yeah.
So I think confidence is a big deal. But I think if you don't break it down early for them and really show from the get-go what you want and how you see a good shot, it's hard. It's hard to build confidence when you're constantly, well, I don't think it's a good shot. Well, that hasn't been defined for you prior to.
Yeah. I think it's really important. You nailed it early on that as younger players at high school level or even starting out in college, that they're not basing their game on the outliers of the NBA and what they do. Those guys that are so elite and what we happen to see in some highlight videos on ESPN or a mixtape on YouTube, that those small clips that we're seeing, we're not trying to emulate those skills that the millionaire who is an outlier of an outlier is the ability to do. For us to compare ourselves to them is just, man, that's very, we're overconfident right there.
Well, Matt, those guys are inspired by what they see on YouTube videos and all that stuff. And I don't fault them for wanting to be able to do some of those things. I'm just telling you, in my experience, I haven't had anybody that I'm real confident in coming in and jumping off of 1 foot and not being on balance and drifting from point A to point B and consistently knocking down shots. So if I'm not confident and I don't feel good about it, and it's tough for me to live with, we're going to have to define what that means for you and me in a better way.
And I think a misconception too is that they like Curry, for example, you just see the high amount of difficulty that he's taking in games, but they're so good at the basic. They're so good when they're on balance. They're so elite at that. And they spend so much time. Like Curry's at the point now where I saw this the other day, like in practice, he doesn't count it as a make unless it's a swish. Like that's how precise he is. Where rimming it in, that's a miss. I don't count that. When your shooter, coach, I would bet when your shooters are at the point where they're so consistent and they're so elite that only swishes count for them and they're doing that at a high clip, that they're able to branch out to do. But what the problem is when we go to that level first, but we haven't mastered the boring and the basic, that's where we run into habit with the players or run into problems.
And Matt, I really believe that, I believe there's got to be a certain amount of talent involved with a kid being a great shooter. Now, I think he can work himself. In my experience, I've never seen a mediocre shooter go to a great shooter. I've seen a mediocre shooter go to a good shooter.
Yep.
A pretty good, a good shooter going to a great shooter, boy, that takes a ton of reps. And kids work at it, but I think it takes a certain amount of talent, and I think you can refine it and you can build on that talent and become better.
Yep.
But repetitions are everything. And, I don't know, in this, so many people want kids' time in this day and age, I don't have kids that have the time to spend 2 hours every day on the gun. I have kids that come in and get shots up, but to take it to a different level, I think it's really hard to do. And, I don't know how many kids you get, probably way more than me. They come in and they've got a flaw somewhere in their stroke, that elbow's kicking out, we're short arming it, we're not on, there's so many things. And then just trying to get kids to break an old habit to start a new habit, or to build a new habit is really difficult.
Yeah. I mean, the odds that their form is clean enough and that they're willing to put in the time that it takes to become that level of special we're talking about, that automatically makes that path that's just very narrow. How many guys get to do that? I went to Duke basketball camp when I was growing up, and Trajan Langdon was speaking at it And I mean, I was just sitting there in awe of him, the Alaskan assassin. And he talked about what it took when he hurt his knee and he was coming back. He wanted to come back a better shooter than he was already darn good. And he said, I shot 1,500 threes a day all summer long. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like doing that math in my head. Like, golly, that's 7 hours of shooting. Like, you know, now you're right. There's so many distractions now. And there's this whole idea too of working smarter, not harder. I do believe you can maintain your level or maybe get a little bit better, especially if you don't have impurities or anything messing up your form, with a 30 to 45, maybe an hour's worth on the gun with purpose. Yeah, the kid. Yeah.
I totally agree. Totally agree. You can absolutely get better. And I would not want my thoughts on that to be misconstrued. But I don't know many guys that are, 25% 3-point shooters that are moving in that 50 range or in that high 40s range. It's just really hard to do. I'm not saying it's never happened, but again, I think shot selection and understanding what a good shot is paramount to a guy being the sort of shooter he wants to be. And I think another thing that's really big is, understanding what your limitations are. If you're a really poor shooter outside the arc, it behooves you, and you're really good inside the arc, let's really build on your strengths. That doesn't mean let's not address your weaknesses. Let's keep working at that, but understand what you do best, and let's play to that, And nothing drives me crazier than watching a guy go 0 for 10 from the 3-point arc, and he's got an opportunity to catch the ball a little closer to the rim where he's a lot better, and he doesn't take advantage of that because in his mind he's a 3-point shooter and and all that stuff. I just think that you gotta understand what your role is as well.
And being great at that, accepting it, being great at that. And because I think so many times, maybe in the skill development world, it's, you got to have all of these skills. You got to have a three. You got to be able to finish at the rim. You got to have a step back. You got to be able to handle a little bit. And there's the amount of players that are special at everything. Golly, that's a small list. And I felt that a little bit at when in college. There's a faster, better point guard than me. There was a guy at the shooting guard that could shoot better than me. There was a stronger, bigger, tougher, small forward than me. So I felt at times I would have rather been special at something, really dedicated. You mentioned it, like build on my strengths and be special at something rather than what I was, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, which, yeah.
Well, you and I have a mutual friend down at Baylor, your alma mater, Bill Peterson, and he talks all the time with longtime NBA guy, with the Bucks and the Mavs and a couple of others. And he said in the NBA, there are these handful of elite players, just elite. They can do everything and anything. That's why they're elite. But he said, if you look at on NBA rosters, the reason why guys are on NBA rosters is because there's a unique skill or talent that they have, whether it's rebounding or defending or whatever it is. They're not all elite. So when they start slotting guys to be on their teams, it's because a guy has a special skill set. And if he can do that to the max of his ability, he's gonna earn a contract. And dumb it down to our level, I've got a kid on my squad right now and didn't shoot it well as a freshman, went home, worked his butt off. He's come back to us. He's a little better. But he's just a voracious offensive rebounder. And he's a pretty good defender, and he's a tough kid. We got to find a spot for a kid like that. And, we're going to keep working at the shooting and things like that. But that's not going to be his forte. We're not going to run sets for him to get behind a screen and get a 3-point shot. We've got some other guys who can do that. But we're going to put him in other positions to help him be successful and to really build on his strengths, which just doesn't happen to be the 3-point shot. And I think that's what the NBA is all about. You take these elite guys who can do it all, and then you slot in guys who have a special skill and can do a certain thing. Hey, now you're cooking, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing you said before, once you establish shot selection, what is a good shot for them? then it enables you as a coach to protect their confidence when you see, because so parents will say, or kids will say, oh, coach took my confidence, or coach, I need you to build me up and bring, you and I know that it comes from preparation, and they deep down know what they're capable of or not. But when you see a player that has established he's established through his work ethic and results, what a good shot is, when you see him slump, when you see him shake his head, then as a coach, you get to come over and protect this confidence by saying, hey, don't worry about that. You're a great shooter. But it comes from that shot selection and knowing what that is.
And even if he's not a great shooter on that particular day, he's got to leave the floor knowing he's a great shooter. It's an aberration. It's just a one-time thing, and the next day it's going to be better, and he's going to get back to being who he is, and helping him to get that identity and to really wear that identity as a premier shooter or whatever his specialty is. It's a really big deal. And, again, I think leadership can really help in that. When a guy comes off the floor, he's had a bad day, those 4 group leaders going over and putting their arms around him and say, hey, man, you're a really great shooter. That's just, that ain't happening again.
Yeah.
That next time you get the ball, what's going in. And because, it's really, confidence is sort of a flighty thing, isn't it? It's, you got to get guys that can keep their confidence through the toughest of times are really pretty strong mentally, aren't they?
Right. That is what it comes down to. They'll probably be successful. I think great shooters that are mentally tough, or they'll be successful in whatever they choose to do, because they understand delayed gratification, that it's going to take a long, long time to work on this thing to be good at it. And they're going to understand that there will be peaks and valleys, but they're able to sustain and be confident and calm throughout that whole ride.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think your talent, your technique, your shot selection all molds together to form a great shooter. And once you've sort of reached that status at whatever level, your level, my level, the pro level, it's up to you as the coach to make sure that confidence and that security about his identity doesn't go away.
Yep.
And whatever we have to do. And, if I see you pass on a good open look again,
it's just like a turnover.
Like a turnover. You do it in a way that elicits a positive response for the kid. It's not a negative thing. It's a positive, but it's you saying, look, man, I believe in you.
Yeah.
Don't you dare pass on that shot. We need you to take that shot. We want you to take that shot. So I think a lot of it is just the psychology of it, the mentality of it. I don't have any special drills that we use, that I don't have any epiphanies about, how we go to a rim and we do this and we do that, and all of a sudden you're a great shooter.
Yeah.
Boy, I wish I did. And if you have that, please share it with me. Okay?
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.